Since I'm back to my garden, I'm going to prepare some grow bags so that I can grow some potatoes. To be honest, I should have planted my potatoes already, but I'm still going to plant them anyway because I want to make sure that I at least have a harvest, even if it's a small harvest. Potatoes are very nutrient dense and they're very good food for survival. And with food prices rising, who has time to be buying potatoes at the store? Not me. So these bags are huge, look at them. These are 25-gallon bags. I have some soil here. I'm gonna fill this about, maybe about 6 inches deep. And then I'll put my potatoes in. Ooh, trying to keep this open. So these are the potatoes. It was some potatoes that I took from my parents, and I'm happy I took some of their potatoes because if the potatoes that we planted in Tennessee didn't do so well, at least I have some potatoes here. And I already have some that are growing in a grow bag already. So it's pretty awesome. I had in mind was to plant my potatoes like a few days ago. They were outside, they got a little wet, but they're fine. I didn't bother cutting these. They're small, but I should have, but I'm just gonna plant them in the bag. I don't have time to wait an extra few days. After you cut your potatoes, you need to let them have time to cure because you don't want them to rot in the ground. So I'm just gonna plant about 4 of them in this bag. We have 4 potatoes. So you're gonna cover them, cover your potatoes. And then once they start growing, I will keep on adding more soil on top. I'm gonna water the potatoes in, and then when they start growing and start seeing some foliage, then I am going to cover them some more with more soil, and then we'll have potatoes. And I'll keep doing that until we reach to the top of the bag. I must admit though that growing in grow bags, it's a little bit nerve-wracking for me because it gets very hot here. And I think that my weakest point when it comes to gardening is watering my garden thoroughly enough, because yeah, it just becomes a bit too much for me. So I'm gonna fill up the rest of the bags, and I'm going to try to grow as much potatoes as possible. I don't have that much. Okay, so I have some black compost here. Now I'm gonna add the rest of my potatoes. We got 1, 2, 3. I think I'm just do 4 here. And all we need is water. So I decided to put all of my, well, some of my grow bags along the side of my greenhouse. And the reason why is because for some reason on this side, when we have really bad storms, it always tends to rise up from this side. The other side doesn't, and I guess it's the way that the wind normally flows here. So I'm just gonna put all the bags here, and it will help. And it will also shade the potatoes from having too much sun. On top of that, I saw some volunteer Roma tomatoes that are growing in my front yard. I am also going to dig those out, and I'm going to put them in some of these bags as well. That's actually such a blessing because I don't have that much Roma tomatoes in this bag. Since it's only 10 gallons, I am going to plant only 2 potatoes here. So we have 1 and 2, just gonna put them separate from each other. The eyes have to be up in these potatoes. So these are the eyes right here, and I'm just gonna put the eyes pointing upwards, and then I'm going to cover them with some soil. So these are some different type of potatoes. I don't remember the name of them, but I will put it down right here somewhere so that you can see. I heard that growing potatoes in grow bags are way easier than growing in the soil in the ground. I usually grow in the ground, and I normally do okay. I don't feel like I normally have like the best potato harvest. We're gonna try the bags, and if the bags do really well, then I will never go back to doing it in the ground. So we planted all of the potatoes, and now I'm gonna get those tomatoes that I saw in my front yard. I have a fair amount of tomatoes that I'm gonna put in some bags. Nothing like some free tomatoes. This is a 10-gallon bag. So I'm just gonna poke a hole in the middle and I'm gonna put one of my tomato in there. So like this, and hopefully it takes and it stays alive. I think it will. Some of my bags I already have filled up with soil and some wood chips at the top. So it's a lot easier for me to handle this now. Just poking a hole with my finger and dropping this in there like this. And then I have to water everything in. So I'm gonna water everything in. Hopefully these tomatoes take. Everything is nice and watered in, and I just gotta wait for these potatoes to grow with their foliage. The next thing I do have to grow now is actually some onions. There's some onions that I bought from the co-op in my parents' area, and it's actually a hybrid onion, so I will not save the seeds from these, but I do want some onions to grow, so I am going to put them in the ground now. Now that we have that beautiful shape that we need, I'm gonna open up my onions. I have the onions here. I'm just gonna stick it in there. I don't want to put it down. I don't want to cover it too much. And some of them already started growing a little bit, so that's pretty awesome. You want your onions to bulb up, so you don't want to put them too deep, because if you put them too deep, they would not expand and get bigger. I learned it from experience. I planted my onions too deep and I did not really get onions. They just went to seed and I was so disappointed. Just got some small, tiny onions. You know, you live and you learn, and then you get better. And we have the last three onions. All of my onions are planted, and now I'm just gonna water them in gently. It would be good to cover these with some hay, straw, something like that, to keep them nice and cool. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I'm trying to keep them really short and sweet, and I'm gonna sit here and just enjoy the quiet-ish for a little bit. So I will see you in the next one, and I hope that you'll follow along on this journey. Bye.